You wake up, and everything is still. Not peaceful, not calm, just still. Like a room after a storm, like silence after someone leaves. You sit there, maybe scrolling, maybe staring, maybe pretending. But underneath all the noise, something is missing. And you don't even know what. It's not exactly sadness, not anger, not fear. It's emptiness, a hollow ache, a quiet numbness, as if your soul is whispering, but your mind no longer speaks the same language. You tell yourself, maybe I'm just tired. Maybe it's just stress. Maybe it's depression. But deep down, you feel it's something else. Something more terrifying than pain, more subtle than anxiety, more persistent than sadness. It's the absence of yourself, the you that used to feel alive, the you that used to laugh and mean it, the you that wasn't just performing, wasn't just enduring, wasn't just surviving. And maybe that's the scariest part. This version of you is functioning. You're doing what you're supposed to, but you feel like a ghost inside your own body, and no one sees it. They see your smile, your replies, your routines, but they don't see the quiet scream behind your eyes. You've become so good at pretending that even you started believing the act. But tonight, maybe something cracks. A tiny question slips through the silence. What if this emptiness is not the end of you, but the beginning? What if this isn't depression, but the echo of your own return? What if this ache is your soul knocking on a door you forgot you closed? You're not broken. You're not too much or not enough. You are just absent, buried beneath layers of expectations, fears, roles, survival, but not gone. And the fact that you feel this emptiness might mean you're finally ready to come back, to stop pretending, to stop numbing, to finally meet yourself again. Not the self you created to be loved, but the one that existed before you ever needed to be anything. And maybe, just maybe, that emptiness isn't what you should fear. Maybe it's what you've been waiting for all along. You didn't decide to disappear. You adapted. You learned early, maybe too early, that being you came with consequences, that certain emotions made people uncomfortable, that certain truths about you caused distance, not closeness. So, slowly, carefully, unconsciously, you edited yourself. You became a version that fit, that smiled when it hurt, that stayed quiet when it wanted to scream, that nodded even when your soul wanted to walk away. At first, it felt like survival, and maybe it was. You wore the mask not because you were fake, but because you were afraid of being unloved. You became fluent in the language of acceptable, learned how to disappear in plain sight. It's not that you lied, it's that you erased. Little by little, you hid your softness, your chaos, your hunger. You buried your weirdness, your wildness, your wounds, until even you forgot they were there. And now, you're left wondering why nothing feels real, why every interaction feels scripted, why silence feels louder than ever. Because deep down, you've built a life that excludes you. You wake up every day inside a performance. You smile with lips that don't belong to you. You speak with a voice trained for applause, not truth. And no one knows, because you've made it look so effortless. But what they don't see is the weight you carry, the exhaustion of pretending, the ache of being known but not seen. You've created a glass prison, beautiful, functional, invisible, and yet it doesn't breathe, because it's made of everything you thought you had to be to deserve love, to avoid abandonment, to be enough. You weren't trying to betray yourself. You were trying to survive a world that punished authenticity. But now, that same survival strategy is suffocating you. You see it in the way you flinch at intimacy, in the way you second-guess your own needs, in the way you apologize for simply existing. And this quiet war inside is not weakness. It's the tension between who you became and who you really are. You've been living inside a story written by fear. Fear of being left. Fear of being too much. Fear of being forgotten. So you played the part, the good one, the easy one, the one that never asks for anything. But what if that's the very thing keeping you from yourself? What if the version of you that everyone loves is not the version that's capable of truly living? And I know taking off the mask feels dangerous. Because who are you without it? Who are you without the approval, the roles, the applause? That question haunts you, and that's exactly where your truth begins. Because somewhere inside, behind all the adaptations and armor, there is a version of you that remembers what it's like to cry without shame, to laugh without holding back, to speak without rehearsing. That self is not gone, only hidden, only waiting. And maybe that's why you feel so hollow. Because a life that ignores your truth eventually forgets how to feel. But now, something in you is waking up. Something deeper than roles. Something older than pain. And this awakening, it doesn't scream. It whispers. It says, you're allowed to exist without earning it. You're allowed to want more than survival. You're allowed to stop pretending, because the cost of your performance has been your presence, and the prison of being accepted is built from your own self-abandonment. But the door, the way out, is open. Not with force, not with rebellion, but with honesty. Brutal, beautiful honesty. The kind that says, I don't want to play this role anymore. I miss me. I'm tired of being invisible in my own life. That's not selfish. That's sacred. To reclaim yourself is not to betray others. It's to finally belong to the one person you've always abandoned. You. And that is where freedom begins. Write in the comments like no one's judging. Like, for the first time, someone might actually see the real you. When did you start feeling absent from yourself? What part of you did you have to hide just to be accepted? Pain doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers through forgetfulness. You forget what used to make you feel alive. You forget how to cry, even when everything inside is flooding. You forget how it felt to belong to yourself. This is not dramatic. This is not weakness. This is the slow erosion of the soul that happens when you survive too long without being seen. And the most dangerous wounds are the ones that look like nothing. Because no one asks you if you're okay when your life seems fine, when you're productive, when you're showing up, when you're smiling enough. But inside, you are unraveling. There's a grief that doesn't have a name, not for someone who died, not for a place you lost, but for you, the version of you that never got to live. That ache, it's not just emotional, it's existential. A kind of emptiness that sits in your chest like a stone, not because you're broken, but because you've been holding your breath for too long. You learned to be small in rooms that couldn't hold your truth, to be quiet in families that feared emotion, to be polite in a world that rewards masks. But silence isn't peace, and numbness isn't healing. It's just waiting for a permission that never comes. Waiting for someone to notice that the light in your eyes has dimmed. And yet, here's the strange truth. The pain you feel, it's not your enemy. It's your messenger. In Buddhism, suffering isn't a curse. It's a mirror. It shows you where you've disconnected, where you've built walls instead of boundaries, where you've confused being accepted with being loved. That heavy emptiness, it's not proof that you've failed. It's proof that you're still alive enough to notice something is missing. Because people fully lost in their masks, they don't feel this kind of ache. They don't hear the whisper of their soul anymore. But you do. And that means some part of you is still fighting, still longing, still refusing to disappear completely. This is not just sadness. This is a calling, a quiet urge to return, not to the past, but to a self you haven't fully met yet. The one who never got the chance to speak. The one you silenced because they were too sensitive, too much, too different. The one you buried to protect your place in the world. But what if that hidden self is the only one who can save you now? Not by fixing your life, but by helping you feel it again. Because what if this emptiness you carry is just the space where you were meant to bloom? What if the reason you feel nothing is because you were never meant to feel this version of your life? We're taught to fear the void, but in Buddhist experience, the void, shunyata, is not absence. It is pure potential. It is the fertile ground where ego dissolves and authenticity is born. Not the identity you perform, but the truth that remains when you stop performing. Your pain is not random. It's precise. It points to where you betrayed your truth, to where you swallowed your needs, to where you decided that survival was safer than being real. And now, that truth is asking to be felt, not fixed, not solved, felt. That means letting the ache be there without naming it wrong, letting the silence echo without rushing to fill it, letting the tears fall without needing to explain them. This is the slow, sacred return, the kind that doesn't happen through goals or self-help or trying harder. It happens when you stop escaping, when you sit in the storm, when you listen to what your sadness is saying beneath the noise. And maybe it's saying this: you've been gone too long. You don't need to be someone else to be loved. You were never meant to feel this empty, so don't push the pain away. It's not here to destroy you. It's here to remind you. You are still here, even under the silence, even under the numbness, even after all these years of hiding. You are still here. Letting go isn't giving up. It's remembering that you were never supposed to carry this much. This weight of being who everyone needs you to be, of holding it together, even when you're falling apart inside, of constantly performing a version of yourself that feels more like armor than skin. It's too much. And maybe, just maybe, that's not a flaw. Maybe it's a sign that it's time to loosen your grip on everything you thought you had to be. Because somewhere along the way, you learned that control was safety, that managing people's opinions was the only way to belong, that pleasing others was your only source of worth. So you held on to roles, to routines, to expectations. You clung to the image of doing well, even when your soul was drowning. But there's a truth that no one tells you. You don't heal by becoming stronger. You heal by becoming softer, by learning to walk without the armor, to breathe without the pressure, to exist without explanation. And that begins with letting go, not of your dreams, not of your values, but of the need to constantly be more to feel enough. Because the more you cling to what's not yours, the further you drift from what actually is. Your essence doesn't need to be proven. It needs to be remembered. And that remembering begins with release. Let go of the need to be understood by people who never truly saw you. Let go of the chase for validation from spaces that demanded your silence. Let go of the version of you that was built for survival, not aliveness. You don't need to fix yourself. You need to unmask yourself. To be real, even if it means being raw. To be whole, even if it means being misunderstood. To be free, even if it means walking away from what once felt like home. Because home is not where you're accepted for your performance. Home is where you can exhale, fully, finally. And you don't find that place outside. You find it within, when you stop editing your truth to be palatable. Yes, letting go can feel like loss. It can feel like falling, like dissolving, like dying. But maybe that's not the end. Maybe that's the unraveling required to be reborn. Because every layer you shed, every mask, every should, every apology, brings you closer to the part of you that was never lost, only buried. And that part doesn't want to impress anyone. It doesn't want to be perfect. It just wants to breathe, to feel, to be. Imagine what it would feel like to stop negotiating your worth, to stop adjusting your soul to fit rooms that shrink you, to stop dimming your light so others won't feel threatened. It's not about arrogance. It's about authenticity. To stand in your truth and say, I no longer need to be small to be loved. I no longer need to perform to be safe. I no longer need to hold on to what's breaking me. That is freedom. Not the loud kind, not the flashy kind, but the quiet, steady kind. Like taking off tight shoes after a long walk. Like standing barefoot in the grass and realizing, this is who I was before the world told me otherwise. In Buddhism, detachment is not about abandoning life. It's about releasing your grip on illusions. The illusion that your worth depends on achievement. The illusion that love must be earned through sacrifice. The illusion that you must be someone else to be accepted. Letting go means turning toward life, not away from it. It means engaging with reality as it is, raw, honest, imperfect, and still choosing presence. No longer addicted to being liked, no longer afraid of being alone, no longer waiting for permission to be yourself. Because here's the paradox. The more you let go of needing to be seen, the more you actually begin to feel visible. Not as a mask, not as a role, but as a soul, unguarded, unfiltered, undeniable. You stop performing, you start existing, you start noticing the wind again, the sky, your breath. You start feeling the tears without shame, the joy without explanation. You stop running and start arriving, fully, in the only place that ever truly needed you. This moment, this self, this truth. Silence is not empty. It's where everything you've avoided finally comes home. There's a moment, quiet, almost invisible, when something in you just stops resisting. You're no longer fighting to be understood, no longer trying to convince anyone you're okay, no longer bargaining with life to make it more bearable. You just sit. And in that sitting, something soft but powerful begins to unfold. The truth. Not the polished truth, not the socially acceptable truth, but the raw, aching truth that you've been carrying for years. The truth that you're tired. The truth that you miss yourself. The truth that you've spent so much time surviving that you forgot how to live. And it's in this silence, this sacred stillness, that healing begins. Because healing doesn't always come with clarity. Sometimes it comes with confusion, with a slow exhale, with the realization that you don't have to know anymore. You just have to feel. Letting go of control doesn't mean collapsing. It means trusting that there's a rhythm to life beyond your grasp. That even when everything inside you feels chaotic, the very act of surrender is an act of self-love. Not the kind that fixes, the kind that holds. No more fixing, no more running, no more almost okay. Just this moment, just this breath, just this heartbeat that somehow still believes in you. And that's enough. You don't have to become something great. You just have to become real. Because when you stop fighting the pain, something strange happens. It starts to shift. It stops being the enemy. The emptiness that once haunted you becomes a space you can sit in, a space that listens, a space that doesn't demand. You realize you don't need answers right now. You don't need direction. You just need truth. And the truth is, you're already enough, even in your most undone state. Even when your heart feels hollow, even when your voice shakes, even when your hands feel too tired to hold hope. There is nothing to prove here, only a life to reclaim, only a soul to remember, only a self waiting patiently beneath the noise. This is not a performance anymore. This is your return. Return to the breath. Return to the moment. Return to the self you lost trying to be everything for everyone. It's okay if the path feels slow. It's okay if you don't have language for what's happening inside. It's okay if all you can do today is sit with your own truth and not run from it. That is enough. The ego will panic. It will whisper, "You're wasting time." It will scream, "You need to do something." But the soul will speak softer. It will say, "Rest, listen, return." And this return, it won't look like triumph. It will look like breathing. It will feel like presence. It will move like water, slow, shapeless, patient. You are not here to impress. You are not here to pretend. You are here to remember. And when you finally stop resisting what is, something sacred awakens. Not dramatic, not loud, just real. And maybe that's what you've been missing all along. Not happiness, not perfection, just reality, as it is, not as you wish it to be. Reality that says, you don't have to earn your place. You don't have to hide your heart. You don't have to know what comes next. You just have to be with what is. That is the silence that heals. That is the presence that transforms. That is the you beneath all the noise. And maybe, just maybe, what you've been calling emptiness is actually the space where you finally come home. So pause, breathe, feel. You're not broken. You're just arriving. And maybe, after all this time, that's all you ever needed to do.